Reddit Unchained presents /AskReddit stories. You gain control of J.K. Rowling's Twitter account for a day. What unnecessary piece of information do you add to Harry Potter lore? Buckbeak is an animagus who is fully intelligent and capable of turning back into a human at any time, but doesn't because it's his fetish. I love this, because he was so committed he let himself be executed in the original timeline. Harry's favorite finger, for no particular reason, is his left index finger. Also, inexplicably, that's Ginny's as well. All Hogwarts students are required to take a sex ed course. The teacher, Hagrid. Okay, now some needs. To do a fanfic where Hagrid teaches sex ed. I don't mean an NC-17 thing either, I mean a legitimate humorous story. Someone on Reddit wrote a little fic where Snape gave a sex ed course. It was ducking gold. "You've got a stroke, M," said Hagrid, as though this was the most obvious thing in the world. An actual Hagrid quote taken out of context. Harry wakes up in Hogwarts and everyone is gone for Christmas vacation, when he has to defend the school from being robbed by Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern. Edit. Silver? Dang. Thanks y'all. Make the fan theory that the surviving Weasley twin becomes the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka later in life. And that leads to the whole Willy Wonka is a prequel to Snowpiercer theory. The composition of the wand means nothing. A wizard could use a plastic drinking straw, and it would work just fine, as long as they expect it to work. What happens when plastic straws are banned? Snape was a stamp collector. This is the real reason James Potter bullied him. It was really him, and not the Weasleys who wrote and mailed the letter inviting him to the Quidditch World Cup. All those stamps on the envelope were his way getting back at James. The sorting hat was 100% unnecessary for class distribution. Its primary purpose was to get rid of head lice. I've got a secret affliction. Harry. Completely unnecessary. For a brief time in 1956, teenaged wizards used to bewitch vacuum cleaners to use in lieu of broomsticks. That is 1,000 times better than most of the shite we've gotten. Ron likes to take all his clothes off when he poops. Oddly enough, I have a friend who's been compared to Ron many times who also does this. Not gonna lie, I do too when given the chance. When you're using the invisible cloak, you're not actually invisible, you're naked. They just choose to ignore you as to not make things awkward. That explains why Fudge and Malfoy send Hagrid straight to Azkaban without a trial in book 2 when they walk into Hagrid's hut while Harry and Ron are hiding. All of the really bat crazy information, Nagini being a cursed Korean lady, the vanishing craps, the whole cursed child play, all of that was just a Quibbler article. Ozzy no love good, you endearing fruitcake. Dudley Dursley has a muggle-born daughter. She gets her Hogwarts letter and Dudley reconnects with Harry so he can learn about magic and be the opposite of his parents. Harry put his name in the Goblet of Fire, and the portion of Voldemort's soul in him allowed him to do so because it was old enough. How do you know? Did you ask him calmly? Harry and Ron used some of Hermione's hair plus polyjuice potion to kill some time in the dormitories. That was great, Ron. I promise I'll be Hermione next time. You always say that. That most people don't play beyond their early 20s because they develop Quidditch fast hole. Every so often a player has to retire because a snitch goes somewhere where you don't usually want a vibrating golden orb, and frankly there's no returning from that ignominy. Or that Bruman. It's gotta chafe. There's a witch writer called KJ Loring, famous for her muggle book series Harold Rogers, where the protagonist engages in wacky muggle adventures. Edit. 48 embarks notices, and not one Hogwarts letter. With sidekicks Roberta Beasley and Herman Danger. Fred and George Weasley switched places during the Battle of Hogwarts. When George died, Fred adopted George's life, complete with cutting off his ear, because he figured George wouldn't want him to spoil the joke. Makes sense as to why George ended up marrying Angelina Johnson, when it was Fred who dated her at Hogwarts. That the cauldron Voldemort was rebirthed in during the Goblet of Fire used to belong to Horace Slughorn. It was gifted to his favorite student, Tom Riddle, the year Riddle left Hogwarts. That's a perfectly reasonable piece of info, though. Underneath the robe, Professor McGonagall is actually two twin dwarfs standing on each other's shoulders. They take turns being on top so the other doesn't get tired. I would like one alcohol please. Voldemort doesn't have a butthole after resurrection. He's like a smooth Ken doll down there. I would 100% post that meme J.K. Rowling reveals that you, the reader, were gay all along. But besides that, I would talk about the required procedure behind the pre-plumbing pooping wherever you want then making it disappear thing. Also, WTF JKR. Why couldn't they have had magical outhouses? Why did it have to get weird? Hagrid was a metaphor for the misunderstanding and mistreatment of furries. This is the best worst response to this question. You tard. Hermione dresses up as a cat girl for Ron, who developed a thing for it before they were dating. And Hermione gets inspiration for her numerous dedicated costumes and such from Hentai, which is why she works tirelessly to keep Ron intimidated by computers and the internet. In order to have the feasts so lovingly described, House Elves of Hogwarts had perfected the art of reusing leftovers multiple times. They secretly go to cheap restaurants and learn from muggles. Recently they discovered internet, and now Dean Thomas's mother prints out for them every tip and trick she can find at frugal living blogs. Muggle orphanages know about magic, and when an orphan shows magical prowess they phone the Ministry of Magic for pickup and leave the baby outside. The ministry hasn't figured out how voicemail works and never come to pick up the children. Well, this explains why the White Walkers keep sparing the orphanages. Moaning Myrtle was experimenting in the bathroom when she dies, hence the name Moaning Myrtle. She was reported as crying, based on what an ignorant first year claimed. Explains why she's incredibly excited for the guys. I gave this some thought, and if I was in a boarding school and a ghost wanted to duck me, I'd probably do it. It would have to beat 4 knuckle shuffling it in the communal bed the dorms share. I'd clarify that Dumbledore wasn't really gay, just gay for pay. Figure that way, nobody is happy. A gag for a galleon Dumbledore? Voldemort's parents were anti-vax. That wouldn't rile anyone up. Now if you said that Ron and Hermione were anti-vaccination. The sock that freed Dobby was actually a Potter family heirloom, having been worn by Bobby Charlton in the 1966 FIFA World Cup final. The Potters were very quiet about how they came to acquire it. For some strange reason, this one is my favorite of all. Also, why do you need 2 sheds? The goblins at Gringotts don't have children. They just randomly split one day during a mitosis-like process and then go about their days. Their suits are part of this process, my amazing SO. I mean, goblins are really weird, so I'm not surprised. Hermione has been secretly hoarding corn, yes, as in corn on the cob, in her room, since she was very young. Even after she left for Hogwarts, she continued to hoard corn in her dorm. She never speaks about it, she just quietly collects the vegetable, as if it's second nature. One day, Harry and Ron discovered her corn stash. Since then, they frequently ask her about why she collects corn, but she pretends she never heard that and keeps talking to them about the things they were previously discussing. The Forbidden Forest is forbidden because Dumbledore and Hagrid have an illegal grow-up hidden inside. The Wizarding School is a front to launder money. I thought they got high smoking unicorn horn. Yeah, Adela, Harry. And nobody is actually at a magic school at all. They are all just stoned AF. In the late 90s, an American wizard decided to invent padded grips that a witch or wizard could slip onto their wand for personal preference and a better handle on casting their spells. The product was called a Woody, and Arthur Weasley, with his extensive interest in muggle items and lingo, was the only one who seemed to find it hilarious. You seem to have a misunderstanding of how well Arthur understands muggles. Luna Lovegood's husband dies in a Crumple, Hornsnorkak related accident, and she remarries Neville Longbottom. They have 2 children together, and have a happy, blended family while Neville goes on to become one of the most renowned herbologists in Hogwarts history, using Luna's talents for hunting the unknown and Neville's unparalleled bravery to find new species of plants that help cure Alzheimer's and other memory related issues. They die in Peru at the ripe age of 102 and 99 respectively, in a whomping mangrove accident. Harry's kids live streamed their first day at Hogwarts and accidentally outed the wizarding world. Thanks for watching to the end. Which one was your favorite? As always, like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Peace.